thinking of making the move to Delaware, and so here is your 12-step guide for making it happen. Number 1, which county is right for you? You're lucky in that Delaware only has 3 options, and let me give you what the 3 are. Newcastle County, Kent County, and Sussex County. Newcastle County by land size is one of our smallest counties, but by population is our most populated. Going north, you enter into Kent County after you pass through Smyrna, and that is home to the Dover Air Force Base and the Bay Health Medical Center. And then dropping in the Sussex County, not the most popular by population, but our most popular based off landmarks because they are host to our beaches. Number 2 is something I ask all of our savviest clients. This is an important question to write down and write out with your significant other, whoever may be making the move with you, to detail out what are the 2 most important things about our next home or next location. For example, it could be your lot size. It could be proximity to a hospital. It could be the school district based off education or based off sport. It could be the restaurants and the dining in the area. It could be the art scene that's down the road or being close to the water, whether it be by lake, river, or sea. You have a lot of options, and I would consider writing down what are the 2 that are most important to you. Number 3 is another tip for all of our clients is pick a radius, not a town. Looking into Delaware from the outside, it is very common for people to look at towns and cities when in reality they need to look at a radius or an area. Delaware is not New York City. It's not Houston, Texas. It's not San Francisco. It is not an area that you pick a subsection of a town and focus on that area to try to find a home. No. So we really only have one area where you may want to look at different subsections of that city or that city alone, and that's Wilmington, Delaware. And they have multiple zip codes as well as multiple different types of areas to look into. But outside of Wilmington, Delaware, for the most part, you need to pick a 10 to 15 minute radius of an area that you predominantly want to be in. For example, if you're one of the many men and women who serve our country in the military, you may pass through the Dover Air Force Base. We're a veteran-owned and operated company, so we love serving our veterans, and we know that when they come into the area, they'll say, we want to live in Dover, when in all reality, what they're saying is they want to be within 15 minutes of the Dover Air Force Base, and that actually encompasses 7 different towns: Felton, Frederica, Magnolia, Camden, Wyoming, Smyrna, and Dover. Because all of those areas, for the most part, fit the criteria of keeping them close to the Air Force Base. And Magnolia and Camden usually end up being the epicenters of where a lot of our military choose to live. Number 4 is school district, and whether you have a child or not, this could be a big decision maker because based off the school district you're in also shifts your property taxes slightly. But if school district for you, like me, is extremely important for your children, you may want to check out this video where we actually had AI go through and rank based off all data findable and public sources the best school districts in all of Delaware. I legally am not allowed to make a formal opinion about it, so this is actually ChatGPT's opinion and I'm just simply echoing. So if you want to check that out, here's the link. The link's also going to be in the description. Rolling right off that, number 5, taxes and cost of living in the area. Now, cost of living is low in Delaware, as referencing in our last video. We talked about that in our pros and cons, but in Delaware specifically, we have subsections where you can get caught up in higher prices just by moving 5 or 10 minutes north, south, east, or west. Examples of these more expensive pockets would be places like Pike Creek and Hocuss in Delaware in the northwestern section of Delaware. Middletown, which is like in the middle section of Newcastle County and comes right below the canal or the big bridge that we have. And places near the Indian River and also towns like Harbison are starting to see much growth because the beaches are getting overpopulated and homes are being built on the outskirts, which means if you get in on it now, you're probably going to have a good investment, but overall, you're going to be paying a higher price point because all the fun is within 10 minutes of you. Number 6 is understanding your timelines. We go over this with all of our clients, and our savviest understand there are 3 timelines or dates within the process that we need to consider, take into mind, and formalize a game plan around before we get started. And here are the 3. Number 1, simple. When do you want to get started? Not like looking at homes on Zillow or LoftRealtyDE.com, which hosts the most up-to-date homes located in Delaware, but looking at homes in person, going to open houses, scheduling private showings, because that is the time frame we want to know so we know when to pump the accelerator into getting you a new home. The next timeline you need to think about is when do you want to be under contract? When do you want to be going into escrow, getting your home pending? There's a lot of different names for it. Basically, what I'm saying is, at what point do you want to absolutely know that you have submitted an offer, had it accepted, and you're on your way to potentially owning that home as long as everything goes well and the home is as we expect it to be? Typically, I would advise people to give themselves 60 to 90 days from the start date for the expected under contract date. And the third timeline, when do you want to be in the new home? Typically 30 to 60 days past when you went under contract. The move-in day is the exciting day. You close on the home and now it is yours. And as you map out this timeline, there's 3 more things to consider. 1, when is your current home home going to go into the market if you already own a home? Number 2, when are you going to be out of your lease, or will you have to break said lease? Have you spoken with your landlord or property manager about that? And number 3, if you're out of state, when are you going to have the opportunity to either fly in or drive in for a weekend or multiple weekends to see properties? And that ties into number 7, talk with a professional. There are so many different variables to discuss and strategize around every unique home ownership journey. Whether you're selling a home or coming from a rental, moving in with family to sell your current home, or looking to buy 10 rental properties, every situation's different. So understanding this, we created this QR code, which is a 15-minute opportunity for me and you, one-on-one, to just chat virtually about your specific scenario. And I'll leave this QR code up on the screen because if you're looking to move into Delaware, sell your home in Delaware, invest in Delaware, your situation's unique. You can speak with someone that's on site, on the ground in Delaware about your options and the opportunity of buying in Delaware. And this QR code is going to get you the opportunity to get right into the schedule sometime this week, and we can talk directly about the opportunity of living in Delaware. Now, this may not be right for you, but step number 8 would be finding out how much home you can afford. Now, I say this may not be for you because if you're walking in with cash or selling your home and taking all the equity to move that cash into the next home, you may not need a mortgage. But if you do, it's very important to know how much you can afford. Now, if you are in the first category of cash, don't skip, because I really suggest not paying in cash. I really mean it. And let me go boop back to the QR code if you have a question about that, because there's a buyer section and a seller section. So hit that buyer section. Let me tell you why I think you should never buy a home in cash. It doesn't make financial sense. But to the mortgage side of things, it does make sense to know how much home you can afford prior to starting the home buying journey. Always suggest speaking with a local lender for mortgages and not a big bank or credit union. You're going to get a better opportunity, better communication, better servicing, and usually a better mortgage with the individual lender. Email us at hello@loftteam.de. That's hello@loftteam.de if you need a connection to a good local trusted lender. Number 9 in our guide to buying a home in Delaware, we have to consider resale or new construction. And if it's new construction, which new construction? So let's start with the easy one, resale. This is seeing a home on Zillow that someone else is selling and you have the opportunity to buy. This is the typical 90% of the time home that is most common for the first-time home buyer and retiree alike all across the board. On the other side is going with new construction, and really there are 2 different types, and not a lot of people know that. Number 1 is a community new construction build. Now, this is where you go into a different town and you see a neighborhood and there's a model home with a big flag out front that says we're open, and you go in and you look at this beautiful model home and they say, hey, we have lots available in the neighborhood where you can have your own home built to your specifications. This is a new construction home for a community. The secondary option, and oftentimes the big retirement dream home, is the individual lot new construction, or the one-time build. The one-time build is when you are able to contract a builder to build on a lot that is specifically already owned by you and in an area that isn't surrounded by a bunch of other homes. And if it is, it's because you bought the lot next to a bunch of other homes. You really have the freedom to have it built anywhere you own the land and it can sustain a home. Number 10 is understanding the home buying process. And I'm not going to walk you through the whole process right now. If you'd like to do that, you have the QR code from earlier. I'd love to go through that with you, but I'm going to give you the key 4 to know: your credit score, your employment, your income, and your savings. These are 4 key components to getting pre-approved for a mortgage. Credit score needs to be above a 620 unless you have a lot of cash. In that case, it could be 580, sometimes even lower, but a lot of cash. Technically, I would love to have you at a 640, 680 for you to qualify for all programs. Number 2 is income. On a rule of thumb, make 3 times as much per month as what your mortgage would be. So if your mortgage is going to be $2,000, I'd like to see you making $6,000. Number 3, employment is humongous. They want to see you at one specific job or a similar job with no big breaks in between for at least a year, and 2 years if you're an independent contractor, make a ton in bonuses, or you're big in like sales, like car sales, or myself. I'm a 1099 employee, which means I'm an independent contractor and I need 2 years of sales in order to get a mortgage. Yay! Number 11 is never not having a resource. Especially if you're coming into the area, you definitely want to know everything about everywhere so that you know you're making the right call, and that's why we made this gigantic document. You can see it right here. It is our relocation guide into Delaware. Everything about living in Delaware is in this, from school districts to taxes to restaurants to football teams, beaches. Everything is in this. I promise you probably won't even be able to read all of it. So find the areas you want to look into, get down deep into the details of it, and know everything about all your options and opportunities in Delaware. Number 12, it's something I say all the time: just break the seal, come through. Drive through the neighborhoods, drive past the for sale home, go to the open house, schedule the 15-minute call, break the seal, and get started. Because even if you're not ready to sell or buy this year or even next, getting prepared is always a good option. So again, I want to put this QR code back up on the screen. If you want to schedule a time frame, you can pick buyer, seller, or even general, and we can just have a nice conversation over Google Meets from wherever you're at. And that is our 12-step guide to getting yourself into the great state of Delaware this year.